What's up, everyone? It's Gary with Fresh from the Farm Fungi. I'm here in Denver, Colorado, and I've got my mop out today doing some deep cleaning because I wanted to talk about cleanliness in the laboratory and cleanliness in the mushroom farm in general. It's May 2nd, 2022, and last month I had a pretty rough go with contamination. About 46 blocks out of my whole entire production for the month ended up getting trichoderma, and I wanted to revisit the basics in this video to kind of go through the regimen that I do to reduce contamination. It's definitely a big cost in mushroom farming, especially if you're just starting out, or it can happen to anyone really. So in Colorado this past month, it was very windy and it was the beginning of spring, so those two factors kind of blew a lot of dust into the air. And on top of that, I got a little bit lazy with my cleaning, and the result was the most contaminated blocks that I ever had in my whole entire production. So it was kind of sad, but it inspired me to go back to the basics, kind of review what I was doing to have these issues. So I just want to let everyone know contamination happens. It's something that's really important to monitor and to prevent contamination. It really just depends on the cleanliness standards that you keep in your grow. So a little bit about my background. I used to test the quality control of products before they hit the market, and as a result of that, I would see some products struggle to meet the minimal quality control testing. And so as a result of that, I got to go out to lots of different grows and different areas that they were producing and manufacturing products for human consumption. My takeaway from all of that was that just the level of cleanliness really did reflect on the quality of the products that are being produced. Growing mushrooms is the same thing. The quality of the mushrooms is going to depend on the cleanliness of the facility. Here in my lab, I like to bleach at least 3 times a week, but during this area of sporulation in nature, which is in the spring and the fall, I should probably ramp up my cleaning to every day to help minimize the risk of trichoderma. So if you think about nature and gravity, the laws of physics, all of the spores are going to fall onto the ground. So that's why mopping is the number one factor in minimizing contamination. If you mop, then you're going to keep the majority of the spores that hit the ground free from entering your system. The next important aspect about minimizing contamination is just to do regular quality control tests. I do have a history of the typical amount of contamination that I started to see, so I could go back to reference what a normal level was, and as soon as I started seeing some bags become contaminated, I did a thorough investigation of what I was doing. So in my next batch of liquid culture, I just left one that was uncolonized so that I could observe if it was coming from my liquid cultures or not. I tested all of them on agar and they came out clean. Then I went into my grain spawn procedure and kind of examined what was happening there. So maybe I was being careless with my inoculations. So in order to correct for that, I would just quality control the grain spawn by putting that onto agar or just holding an empty bag to make sure that it was sterilized correctly in the pressure cooker. The next thing I did was look at my bulk sterilization process. So currently I'm growing on master's mix pellets and soy hull pellets, and I just observed the quality of those, which was good. And then the location of my sterilization is not in my lab, so I think what happened was as I was moving those blocks into my lab to cool, they were inoculated with the spores on the outside of the barrel. Maybe somewhere along the lines they were contaminated, because if I held a couple bags after that process, they were fairly clean, but then once I inoculated them, I was starting to see contamination. So I think what happened was when I was spawning my blocks, they had contamination on the outside of the bags, which was somehow getting inside the bags, and it affected about 20 to 25% of my production block. I hope that makes sense. That's kind of how I troubleshooted the problem. Another helpful tip is just to do extra cleaning. So I'm going to be bleaching and then doing my deep clean, which means wiping my walls, wiping my ceilings, getting into the grow tents, cleaning out the fans, cleaning out the piping, doing everything I can to mitigate the amount of spores in the atmosphere, which could potentially get inside of the grow bags, which outcompetes the mushrooms and really causes a stress on your farm that is completely avoidable as long as you clean properly. I hope I nailed that home for you guys. I'll be at the Cherry Creek Farmers Market starting this weekend until October. Check out our book, Growing Gourmet Mushrooms for Market. Stay tuned for some more videos. We got some experiments coming up for you guys. I really like putting together these lengthier videos now with the whole process from start to finish. I think it's a lot more helpful and I really enjoy making them. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you're looking forward to more mycology videos like these. I'm going to get back to mopping, and until next time, much love.